Greetings, nerds and newcomers. Welcome. Day 4 here at the D&D Help Desk. My COVID vaccine today. Arms a tad sore. Let's go ahead and get into questions here. Once again, we are on Reddit. At D&D questions we can answer. So, let us begin. Alright, another heavily gilded, controversial clickbait. Alright, let's go. DM Academy by equivalent inflation. Spice up your loot by giving players magic items they can't use. Offering advice. First off, I'm clarifying, no, I don't mean being an asshole and give the players a super cool magic items. They have some kind of restriction to make them use them. Now, I'm sure a lot of you, like me, have run into the issue of providing good loot. Say you find 50 gold pieces, 27 silver, some gems, gets boring over time, and makes every encounter start to feel the same. What I started to do was sprinkle some magic items that a party of adventurers would find useless, but an NPC would be willing to pay top dollar for. First time I experimented with this, Staff of Demeter. It's an intricately carved wooden rod covered in runes, which players found in an abandoned old castle. On using Identify, they found out that when struck in the ground in a specific manner, it had a similar effect to the long-term plant growth spell. All agricultural crops in a mile grew twice as fast in the course of a year, as long as they remained in the spot. Obviously, I didn't do much for them, but a local noble with good-sized farm was willing to pay a large amount of coin for it. Doing this helps the player more invested. Then grabbing some gold and heading off to spin it to figure a potential buyer potentially makes some kind of skill check or haggle over it. I never mention any prices, so those are up to their own negotiating abilities. Also helps more feel more alive. Of course, more full magic, people are going to use it to solve a lot of their daily issues and improve their lives. Having almost every single magic item become kind of weapon or armor is ridiculous. I feel like in the world with these items like these, it makes it come to life a bit more, and it's a tiny bit of realism. I think linchpin depends on how. I think a good thing to think about is in your world or in this campaign setting, how common is low level or how common are magic items? It's entirely possible that, more like an Eberron setting, that pretty much, Eberron minus, right? Instead of Eberron, everything being commonplace, high fantasy, a lot of magic items. Quite possible that magical items were typically only created or understood to have wartime properties. That was the major manufacturing before that information and those forges were lost to time. I think it's definitely a good way to spice up. A bit of paprika, add a little bit of sage to the magic items flair. It's not all samey. It's not bad, but it depends on what feel you're going for. Anything else underneath build off of? I'm not saying anything. Oh, there. Top we go. So I don't want to say. Thoughts. I like the idea. Period. I'd be surprised if more players, DMs, aren't doing this already. Period. I'd be curious to a poll of how many DMs actually do this versus not. Period. This is a good implementation, but it's entirely dependent upon the world building and older era understanding of magic. Period. Is this high fantasy? Semicolon. Is magic commonplace? Period. Was magic enchantment traditionally just used for wartime weapons and armor? Question mark. Or was magic widespread and had other applications for the denizens of the last era? Question mark. Just some questions to think about when world building. Period. All right, let's clean this up. Make DM's cat. That, take the poll out. This is good implementation. Building older era understanding magic. High fantasy. Magic is was magic commonplace? Was magic enchantment traditionally used for wartime weapons and armor? Or was magic widespread and had other applications? Denizens. The last era. The questions I think about when world building. All right. Cool. Not bad. Spent too much time on this one. Move on. Active straw, interesting. Hot take. Fancy backstory / homebrew lore is the do my screenplay of TTRPGs. Intrigued. Oh my god. Alright, let's head into it. D&D Next by Ghostman on Third. Discussion. Let me preface this by saying I'm both the DM and amateur writer working on a book. I work constantly. I have my own pantheons, creationists, and more. A very robust and complex history for the world of Agania. Here's the thing, no one really cares about it. No one's talking to their friends about how Brakar and Toll are the two last gods who remain vigilant against Grimlos's dark machinations and attempt to invade from the shadow of Agania. Or how Brass, the real betrayer, and Grimlos was bound to the darkness and error, and Ilos was too distracted fighting with Baden to notice. I'm all for roleplay, I'm all for deep stories, but I think a lot of people take it too far. Actually, there's 100% table dependent, and your special awesome group of heroes will have 20-page backstories and 50 deities memorized by heart is fine too. A lot of people, I don't think that's the case. Even in my 18-month 120 campaign, players never really cared about all that much. They cared about Helga, the human alchemist and witch. They cared about Theron, the young drow boy who accidentally acquired a wish through the deck of many things and became integral to the plot to overthrow the Dark Queen and save the drow from enslavement. These were all people they met, interacted with unknowingly, there was a big part of the story. Let me give you another example. Dark Souls. I love Dark Souls. I can tell you who Lord Gwyn is and why Slayers is amazing, or why I think Patches cannot think of a single bona fide deity from the Dark Souls lore. Okay, so they like Dark Souls, but don't know about the. Okay. You know why? Mostly because people don't really matter. It matters is stuff that's actually happening in the moment. In firsthand, players wants to know about something pretty simple. DM explains some long-winded explanation about gods and ancient catastrophic history. Alright. I'm not saying don't have robust homebrew lore. Conan, the Allfather, knows I have pages of nonsense that players will never see. They'll be upset when players just don't really care about it. Yeah, pretty much. Beating stuff here. Forgotten Realms is just homebrew lore that a lot of people care about. Sometimes your screenplay is actually really good and gets made into a film, but for 99% of us, the handful, are never going to care about your homebrew lore. The only reason I deviated away from using homebrew lore as often as I can. People get invested in a story when they automatically know who Bahamut is and what he's about. Or even a deity like Thor and Zeus, they've got a face to the name. I go over to LFG, and there are DMs who want you to read 20-page PDFs. I expect you to memorize it, and there's a big sign for me to step away from all those kind of games. Obviously, personal observations. Okay, this could be really cut down. Add that for players too. Alright, 20 pages reading. All table dependent. Reiteration of the second paragraph. There are always players who inevitably demand to want things a certain way. Either they get salted in the party act a certain way, or the player gets salted to give his right 300 hours of D&D sessions with his masterpiece with a backstory that's just Avatar Last Airbender with a name just around. Alright. Long-winded. But yeah. This is just a staple of just writing. You know, pretty much just show, don't tell. Right? Something that Star Wars, despite being somewhat overrated, does well. Shows you the action to begin with. Episode 4 starts with a chase scene. No setup other than some scrolling text that takes about a minute, half, maybe 2. Now iconic, and it gets to the good stuff, the action. It shows you Darth Vader being a villain. It shows you chasing. It shows you all these conflict play out. And then you get to the lore later. Never lore dump early. And Kenobi, well, that's apt. It says it's tricky. Personally, I think it's a pretty good job of getting players best in the world, but needs to be injected in the story organically. BBEG of this has become the dreaded because the actions player was supposed to compare to his enemy. The cosmology is only relevant when they start to planeswalk. Alright. So anything else? I don't did. Oh. Back to the top. And some backstories, homebrew core. Alright. Lore dumping is one of the pinnacle examples of real interest in a hobby. Period. However, this interest is only for you or individuals that have buy-in to the medium. Period. Some DMs write a bunch of lore for themselves that will never see the light of day, so they have some kind of skeletal structure for their world. Period. That is fine, and like you said, just make sure that you understand not everyone is going to be interested in the long-winded mythos. Mythology. Period. The same goes for players and their backstories. I think that this issue ultimately derives from show, don't tell. Period. Despite being overrated, Star Wars Episode 4 does a fantastic job of giving you a brief understanding of the conflict in this galaxy far, far away, and immediately heads to action and conflict that gets you invested first with the characters. Period. Buy-in is important and must predate lore dumping. Period. Buy-in must predate the players getting invested into the story. Period. Despite that, some players may not be interested even still. Period. All right, we're gonna have to work on the other. All right, we got here. We got lore. Lore dumping is one of the pinnacle examples of real interest in hobby. However, disinterest is only for you or individuals that have buy-in to the medium. Some DMs write a bunch of lore for themselves that will never see the light of day, so they have some kind of scaled structure for their world. Skeletal structure for the world. That is fine. Like you said, just make sure that not every you understand, not everyone. That is fine. Like you said, make sure, and like was mentioned, not everyone is going to be interested in the long-winded mythology. Long-winded mythology. Then goes for players and their backstories. I think that this issue ultimately, that is all mangled up. I forgot the I in here. Oh, yep. Ultimately derives from show, don't tell. From what is it? I guess it's they're writing philosophy. Show, don't tell. Despite being, or else I just say Star Wars. Star Wars 4, a fantastic job of giving you a brief understanding of the conflict in this galaxy far, far away, and immediately headset action. Immediately shows the action and conflict mess here. Star Wars Episode 4 does a fantastic job of giving you a brief understanding of the conflict in this galaxy far, far away. Period there, and click thoughts. It immediately shows the action and conflict that gets you invested first with characters. Understanding the conflict, the galaxy far, far away. Then shows and humanizes. Human eyes. The Z in there. I think it's the other humanizes. Yep. And humanizes the characters. Then shows it humanizes a character for ever getting into the lore. And to buy-in is important. It must predate heavy lore explanations. Okay. Otherwise, people won't be invested in all the backstory without character investment that they have already established. Period. Yet still, comma, some people and players still won't be interested. Period. Or, at the very least, interested in varying degrees. Period. Oh, right, it's pretty good. I think it's all right. Definitely, or not to go too crazy with it. Say, let's see what we got. Resource with the city that would fix the description. Give 1,000 gods. Yeah, Numenera camp. I've heard this mentioned. I just can't think of. What we got. Ninth World. Okay. It's just an RPG system. Has a deck. Okay. Card aspect. Okay. Very interesting. I'll say, Sigil. The only thing I can think of with 1,000 gods, but I don't think gods list there unless the Lady of Pain allows it. D&D City of Sigil, primary hub for planning your travel. Yeah, I don't. But yeah, Sigil explicitly bans the. Yeah. Oh, that is right. Yeah, no. Yeah, she does ban any deities. Correct. Good response there. Right. Not Sigil. I don't think there's any one that I'm aware of. Monk. Diablo. Oh, they might be thinking of Sanctuary with the demons and the angels seek refuge. The ever eternal conflict of high heaven, lowly hells. Not sure. Kill 6 billion demons. Got Angkor Wat. That's definitely pretty old. Known as Yasodharapura. Is the capital city of the Khmer Empire. Oh yeah. Okay. In Cambodia. God King. Okay. A good choice. 1,000 still buildings. Be it temples. Sure how to help them there. Interesting though. What spell do you find most annoying? Okay. I get the Semia 0311 D&D Next subreddit. For whatever reason, what spell do you find most annoying? I mean, it's guidance. It's an absolutely amazing spell, but I find it the most annoying spell because of how many people try to use it. Remember, I said for whatever reason. I listen to a few different D&D podcasts. I absolutely cannot stand people shouting, "I cast guidance!" Cough. Gesture for critical role. Cough. After a check has already been asked for. I also can't stand people try to cast guidance on a check they would have zero knowledge is occurring. Yeah, the metagaming is pretty often guidance. Hey, here's a check to see if you know anything about these ruins. They think the situation is perfectly fine and that's cool, but find it annoying. They find this annoying. Tech thoughts. Players get angry when a goblin they just captured doesn't seem to know the social security number of their boss. Fair. Fair. Demon's Tiny Hut. No other edition of the game had the spell doing what it does now. It's crazy powerful. I would consider that spell like annoying unless it was abused. It's just not balanced. And the way it currently does way too much. That and Healing Spirit are like the two spells that like I don't know what Wizards was smoking. But at least they fixed Healing Spirit. Got that from broken raw wise. Heck, even Lehman's Tiny Hut is still kind of broken and usable, raw or rye. Either one. Lehman's super annoying. Like Guidance and Lehman's is the overall consistent. Possible Force. Super, and it's probably overpowered depending on how you interpret it. See that. Misty Step. Okay. Step's a fun spell, one of my favorites. Suggestion. Can't agree on what it does. Let's see here. Suggestion. Refresh our memory. Second level enchantment. Alright. One action, 30 feet. Concentration up to hours. As a course of activity, limit to a sentence or two, and magically influence a creature you can in range that can hear and understand you. Creatures that can't be charmed are immune to this effect. The suggestion must be worded in such a manner as to make the course of action sound reasonable. Ask the creature to stab itself, throw itself up fear, immolate itself just when they're obviously harmful act in the spell. Target must make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, it pursues a course of action you describe to the best of its ability. Suggested course of action continue for the entire duration, 8 hours. Suggested activity can be completed in a shorter time. The spell ends when the subject finishes what it was asked to do. You can also specify a condition that will trigger a special activity during the duration. For example, you might suggest that a knight give her horse to the first beggar she meets. The condition isn't met before the spell expires, activity isn't performed. If you or any of your companions aim to target, spell ends. Yeah, well, I think you can. Like, the issue I see with like paragraph 2, you must pursue the course of action you describe to the best of its ability. And here, the suggested course of action can continue the entire duration if the suggested activity can be completed in a shorter time. The spell ends when the subject finishes what it was asked to do. That works, but I feel like you can loophole out of the whole it can be completed in a shorter time if you set a parameter of time in the spell description. I want you to march north for 8 hours. Not, I want you to march out of town. That might take an hour, maybe less. March for 8 hours north. Technically seems. And it technically seems like it's definitely able to be spoken in such a manner. Even casted in. Yeah. I guess it depends on the activity, but I think typically you just put a time duration parameter within the suggestion itself. Yeah, there's a lot of creativity and kind of big old gray area though with the spell. I can see that. They don't say anywhere the vocal component used are the words forming part of the enchantment. I believe is the rules as interpreted. It is not. Suggestion does require chanting for the actual suggestion. Yeah. Yeah, no, you have to say a bunch of arcane stuff that pretty much everybody knows is some weird magic mumbo jumbo, and then you say the phrase suggested to. Pirate, arg, you're being robbed. Warlock cast suggestion. You work for us now. Pirate, arg, the mutiny. Does that work? You work for us now? I mean, the whole crux of the entire suggestion spell is it must be worded in such a manner as to make the course of action sound keyword reasonable. What is reasonable to one is unreasonable to another. That is where the open-endedness and the inevitable conflict of the spell is going to come in. You. So, I'm not sure. I mean, I guess technically it could be reasonable if the pirate was wanting work for them. I don't think it'd work on a pirate captain. But I think a regular pirate, yeah, I think it would work, but they're gonna have to like pay him a salary and everything, and then you have dental and all the other sorts of things. Two forms. Hmm. I think that more likely work. Suggestion is the real reason subtle spell exists. Okay, yeah, I see that. I think I'm gonna go ahead and say Leomund's tiny hut is one of the only spells in the game that is reasonably unbalanced, being implemented with raw or rye. Period. I'm just going to double check it real fast. I'm remembering this. Leomund's Tiny Hut is the only evocation ritual spell. It has a cast time of a minute. I want to see what are other ones? Rope Trick as an action, that's fine. You have Galder's Tower. Okay, won't get that one then. You have Mordecaiman's Mansion. Takes a minute. Duration lasts 24 hours though. What do we got here? Yeah, so most of it's a minute, but it's like the only ritually castable extra dimensional space, which is crazy. That is reasonably unbalanced, being raw or rye. It was tiny hunt area. Only evocation ritual casting available spell. Period. It is also the only extra dimensional space creating spell that lasts for more than an hour that is a ritual cast. Period. Not to mention all the shenanigans you can do with it, like layering over one another and other stuff. Of all the spells to be released by Wizards of the Coast for 5e, this one and the original Healing Spirit really made me question quality control. Period. With the Coast. A Wizards of the Coast for 5e. One and the original Healing Spirit spell. I think it's pretty good. Alrighty. Here, part of the Gulthias. Boy, nasty. I like it. See, Snoop 5710. Ready to build. Take a break from building city maps. Size tree. Say that. This is unsettling, and I don't want to put any in there. Unsettling, and I enjoy it. Done. So that is a very good looking map. Never see any use, but very well done. A lot of detail. Auto unique phenomena. Make a table this big. Automatically builds phenomena for your players to run into the field. Roll a d100 for each of the two tables. Table 1 provides how the phenomena acts, spreads, or is encountered. Table 2 answers the powers phenomena has. And you can roll a d6 for 1 and 2 being negative, 3 and 4 neutral or mixed, 5, 6 being positive. Let's roll additional time on table 1 for complexity, or table 2 for more power, even both. Okay. Reenact events, relocate the interactions, stealth, simulation, distance manipulation. Intro. And well, I will say, yeah, this is a big table. I guess it burns some ideas. Be on now. It's so hot. Dark Tum Stride. Shark Egg. Okay. Pick items that grow with the player character. I mean, I think everyone probably is going to in the vestiges of divergence more than likely. Good, let's see here. Chaos Meister Masters. Purchase suggestion. Ancestral weapons or armor's handbook. Magic items that grow with player characters. Hello all. I'm pairing a new D&D campaign. I love the concept of weapons that grow with the players. Hero's Journey uses a system like that, and Earth Dawn, of course, had it for a long time. I'm investigating how to port this into 5e and found these two supplements of the DM Guild. Anyone a recommendation either way or even something different? I'm gonna look in all that. I've used essential weapons. The idea, you have to be careful with how often you give out spirit points. I'm gonna say, the is of Urgence used on critical role have a function of unsalted to salted form over time and use. You may want to look into these and potentially either use some of them or some of their functionality. Period. I'm pretty sure you can find them on the wiki. If not, you can also get it from the Tal'Dorei campaign setting. Period. Campaign setting. For the campaign setting. Cool. Alrighty, next one. Rust maps. Nice. Extra ships crew quest. I think I'll that one later. Ooh, party art. Ooh, his art's actually really good. The detail of the water and the background effects are awesome. Period. This really good job. Little, we'll get back from that. They did a good job. Swapped vials. Like 3 times yesterday. Here again today. I see. Dinner. Okay. Ready then. Holy Site District. Don't keep mysteries. The Scrivener's Tale. Doing something wrong. Alright, and we're going to go ahead and take a small break, and I'll be back here in a few moments. Don't go anywhere. right back. Online Ranch. All right. So here we go. R. Watts, Curse Strad, subreddit. Campaign duration. Am I doing something wrong? Help request. Hello, I am running Curse Strad for 7 people. Okay, small cautionary flag there. All new players. Okay, cautionary flag went from yellow to orange and red. Using mostly raw content. A few other things I found on the subreddit. We started the campaign at level 3 and didn't run Death House because some of the players already did it with other DM. Thing is, we've only done 2 sessions of 4 hours and they already arrived to Valaki. They went to Barovia, buried Kalyan, Sarah Falls, Madame Mavis Tent, had a small encounter with Morgantha and the old bone grinder but ran away. In their posts and comments, I think we are going way too fast. For example, I just read a comment of a DM saying it took him 33 sessions to get to the Festival of the Blazing Sun. What? 33 sessions? Oof. What? Wow. I mean, I guess that they spend a lot of time in the village of Barovia, but like, or you push back what they're trying to do in the area of Valaki with their falls and, you know, heading over maybe Kretsk. I could see you spending like 10-ish sessions on all that. Wow. 33 does not sound right. Started DMing so long ago, I don't know if something's wrong. Thank you for your help. I don't see a problem or fun. Yes, they're not talking. They're not into talking, but more into action. Because they're new players and only want to do quest. There is no proper pacing to D&D. Period. As long as everyone is having fun and enjoying their time, you included, then you're going at the right pace. Period. I would recommend you being a newer DM and having a very large group to definitely communicate and have maybe monthly or 4 to 6 week discussions on how everyone's feeling about the campaign so far. Period. Communication is key. Period. It took my group about 13 sessions to get to the Festival of the Blazing Sun. Period. That one individual that it took 33 days must have really padded the content. Period. Or that group must go at a snail's pace. Period. It's okay, my group about 13 sessions. Took my group about 13 sessions to get the Festival of Blazing Sun. One individual it took 33 days, so really padded the content or sales space. Proper the proper pacing D&D. everyone is feeling, but we can't are. Yeah, that's fine. Cool. Alrighty, so we got next. If you cast Speak with Plants and Speak with Dead, you talk to furniture. um, okay. Um, duration lasts 10 minutes. They're not concentration spells. So I feel like no, because speaking with dead and speaking with plants is different than speaking with dead plants. If I had to say, I do like the creativity though. Not sure what furniture could really tell you all that much. Parlor talk. Um, yes, furniture are considered objects, not ten. Short answer: no. Raw. Furniture is not considered undead, but considered an object. Period. To a corpse. Oh, it can't be undead. Oh, yeah, no. Can't be undead. Correct. Um, corpse must have a mouth and can't be undead. Huh. This corpse. Corpse husband. Probably corpse definition. Is the definition of corpse innately humanoid? I feel like it's not. Human or animal. It doesn't really consider plants. Dead body, especially of a human being. You can have a loose definition. Typically, it's of an animal. Furniture is considered an object. No longer plant or the monster manual typing. Also, the traditional definition of the word corpse refers to a human or animal body. I like the creativity, but you would need these two dead plants spell, or communicate with furniture spell to do that. For answer no, raw reasoning benefits. Or no, raw reasoning being that furniture is considered an object, no longer a plant, or an object, and no longer a plant for the typing. Also, the traditional definition of the word corpse refers to a human body. Not the creativity, but you would need the speak to dead plant spell or communicate with furniture spell to do. For what that was, I think it was a pretty humorous post. I think I'm gonna edit. This has been the funniest post all day, though. I like that one. Pretty good. All right, scroll down, scroll down. Still scrolling. Building NPCs, monster enemies like player characters. Okay. I assume they're running to the point of trying to conflate potentially challenge rating as equivalent to PC level. I hope not. That's a very common pitfall. So, Dungeon Masters subreddit by Orange Zim. Hey all, I'm starting a new campaign. I'm a pretty fresh DM. Done a bit though before, and I know that my world arc building launches off from its building characters. Often start like I build a PC character, and I think how would that fit my world? It's a good process, and I find it helps me build easily well. Is there a simple way to turn an NPC conceived like a player character would be into a monster stat block for if combat, etc. breaks out? I've gathered that there's game mechanics start to not blend well with the PC style build NPCs. Typos. For example, I want to put a College of Whispers bard in my campaign with those juicy whisper abilities. I'd like to build her like any other PC and then make a monster out of her, that sort of a thing. Very good at world building. The mechanics are a pretty rusty part, and all those behind the scenes things I never hear about, we're going to work games. I've listened in my hours and hours of D&D podcasts. Thanks so much. It's already been addressed. Sorry about that. Had to research anything. Well, I would say, and you could just give a, you can just basically give it to them. I would probably go off already generated stat blocks and just flavor them. Like just have a like illusionist wizard from please Xanathar's Guide to Everything. Then just put in the ability for like a whisper bard and call it there. There's plenty of stat blocks. I think I know what they're talking about. Not sure what you mean exactly. You have all the stats you need. Yeah, I know what they're trying to do. I feel like I know what they're trying to do. Let's see. Do monsters. All right. So we got humanoids. Down to humanoids. Frost druid. Fine. It's gonna be an illusionist here somewhere. I cobbled. Even cobbled. Yeah, Skyweaver. Apocalypse. Evil Mage. Their way to turn an NPC conceived like a player character would be into a monster stat block. You should be able to use the player character sheet to run combat for this quotation mark monster. Period. Just a word of warning. Player characters to monsters are not equivalent in challenge rating. Any player character that you make and make it to a monster is actually going to be more difficult. Period. Easiest way to do this would to be taking any prior stat block monster and trying to add in an ability like the Bard College of Whispers to it. Period. Wait, is there a Bard? Yeah, a Bard. Where? From Volo's Guide to Monsters. I would just take the Bard stat block from Volo's Guide to Monsters, page 211, and add in the abilities for College of Whispers. Period. If you want to have more of the Monster Manual stat block feel, period, then you can go to the Home Brewery website and potentially use some markdown to format it properly. Period. All right, let's clean this up. Stop talking for me. There we go. All right, should be able to use the player character. I should try Windows player character. Run combats. I don't know why you spell combat with a K. It's not Mortal Kombat. Just monster. Just a word of warning: player character to monsters are not equivalent challenge rating. Yeah, any player character that you make to a monster is actually gonna be, that's fine, more difficult. The easiest way to do this with the beats, taking any prior step block monster and trying to add ability. That I'll just take the feed birds stat block. Or let's say main question. I'll just take the stat block from VGM 11 and add in the abilities College of Whispers onto the Bard stat block. Want to have more of the Monster Manual feel, Monster Manual stat block feel, you can go to the Home Brewery. And Home Brewery is a fantastic website if you haven't used it. for making monsters and having good look and feel to them. Alright, there we go. That looks good to me. Block. Make it one word. Fine by me. Boom. Alright, look at that. Alright, Durst Manor. Going down. Still fully animated. That's classic. That's Charlie Homebrew. One of the things that you're pretty much going to be the only person to really care about your own homebrew campaign world. Hard to get other people interested. It's understandable. Right, promotion, quick opinion, 3 hours ago. Hey, there, I want to include homebrew rule for leveling up. Post. Are you asking a question? It's just. I assume they want an answer to include a homebrew rule for leveling up. It's not based on XP kind of milestone. Like, yes, it would be something like a certain point of story you get level. Hey, there, a question here. Opinion, I don't know if it's good. I'm gonna skip this. I mean, you kind of have milestone leveling or not milestone leveling. That's pretty much how it goes. I mean, I suppose it could be XP leveling or not, but pick one of the two. Home for Strahd and Irina's wedding. Kretsk, anarcho-syndicalist government. Okay, I gotta read this. This is has me peaked. So we are Curse of Strahd subreddit Sandman Alcatraz. Threats Arco Syndicalist Government. After all the political intrigue in Wallachia, I wanted to come up with an easy way to politically differentiate Kretz from neighbors to the east, while also showing that the Kretzkovs are more trustworthy than the Vargas/Watcher. As written, Kretz seems just like a smaller, more stable version of Wallachia. The book primarily focuses on the abbot, doesn't really go into life and Kretz looks like. True. In addition, the party just likely had a lot of trouble with the burgomaster of Wallachia, and likely similarly suspicious of anyone that holds the same title, especially if you have asked burgomaster Bowden Vargas interchangeably in Wallachia. Since much smaller, I made them a anno-syndicalist commune. Okay, at 18, they're allowed to vote members of the council, 75 people. Currently about 50 to 55 members in the town council. All members take turns acting as the town's burgomaster for a month. Okay, interesting. By seniority. Kretzkov is the burgomaster until Kretzkov arrives. Rotating position. Raffle. A lot of work going into here. Gotta give a drop of blood to prove they aren't one of Strahd's minions. Interesting. Vampires don't believe werewolves can't be hurt by weapons. So difficulty passing the test. Town. Barter system. Main role of the government to protect the town. History. Town founded by the Kretzkov family, former government came to the abbot's suggestion years ago after hearing of Wallachia suffering. Vote from the burgomaster. Power corrupts any hierarchy that cannot be ethically justified must be. Okay. I mean, I think this is definitely. I like the building here. Period. I question how your passage of time changes throughout the campaign for Curse of Strahd. Period. If it's going to be on a monthly basis, it would be nice to use some of your setting and some of your material to see the fluctuation and changes of having a monthly rotation of Burgomaster. Period. Yeah, the Holy Grail quote. It's going to be on a monthly basis. Setting changes have a monthly version map. I like it. Definitely pretty good. A lot of work, and I hope it doesn't all go to waste, though. Hey, DM Academy. Leveling up your players. Okay. Last week I had a problem. My players got into a fight, as they do. They rolled poorly, which happens. Posted here by 3 Pigeon. Pepgen. At some point, starting to look like they might TPK. They are new players in WDDH. Not Wayfires. What's WDDH? Drawing a blank here. Water Deep Dragon Heist. Oh, yeah. Yep. So TPK wasn't really an option to me. Okay. So I assume it's intercity stuff. Scaling back the enemies would have to be very obvious. They all have to reduce amounts of hit points and AC already. I needed to start playing with the baddies dumb. We took a breakman fight. The players talked. Bathroom 8 wondered what they could do. They concluded that it had to be to the death. Very well. They're prepared to TPK, which is good to know. But I still wasn't. I looked at the module. They're very close to a level up, over which I maligned because I should have just done that before the fight. It hit me. I was going to level them mid-fight. After the break, we played one more round of combat, and at the top of the round, I saw the players roll HD in their COD modifier and add it to their hit point total. Doorstore was first in the round. I told them felt like they were going to be able to cast more spells today than normal. I got a bit of a groan, and it seemed like a Deus Machina, but I told them to look at the third level spell list at dawn. They were leveling at mid-flight, and it was an epic moment as our thugs were beaten back. Turned tight easily, and it felt quite natural. Now this is one more tool to add to my bag. I'll just keep adjusting hit points AC into the modifiers I need to during fights. Now I know the level of my players mid-flight too. Okay. I mean, it's definitely a tool. It depends on how kind of the players feel about that. Now I don't know the difference of what they want more, whether they want to fight to the death and make their peace or survive, but level up mid-fight, as that's not traditionally a thing and kind of harkens back more toward a video game styled attributes and mechanics. I mean, if they're cool with it, that's fine by me. Just something to keep in mind. I assume you're doing. I didn't even say what kind of advancement, XP or milestone. I'm curious of which one it is. I assume it had to be XP. There's really not much of a milestone mid combat, I think. Yeah. I mean, sure you can do that. Yeah, raw levels up require a long rest. Did I post anything else? I'm very curious. Um, Fast, captured, milestone, reservation. To hate it, disagree. Okay. Yeah, then it got downvoted to oblivion. Oh, dare we? I think we do. Let's see. Nothing to do with railroading. Players made up their mind. There are ways that in a fight, they have the option to flee. They could have surrendered. There's no railroading here. I think a group does not have to mean TPK, especially in a game like Waterdeep Dragon Heist. Attackers should let them bloodied on the ground or capture knocked out party. Might even have made for an amazing roleplay situation. Level up, move work, it's great, but I warn you to have this as a tool to your bag. Definitely a Deus Machina tool that reinforces railroading. Doesn't mean don't do it, but beware of that. Huh. I don't hate the idea of being a big draining and main combat, then feeling the burst of strength, wash over you in the middle of it, leveling up. Yeah, I mean, it depends on the individual. Some people, especially this not being raw, are immediately not. They're gonna feel like they were gifted a win. It's all dependent upon the player and why they play D&D. But yeah. So yeah, just right here, they concluded that it had to be to the death. Very well, they were prepared to TPK. Um, yeah, this is the part right here. I question as to why weren't you prepared when it seems from your story that they were. Period. My assumptions aside, though, comma, I question as to why you I question as to why weren't you prepared. I need to get the rest, which is good to know, but I still wasn't. Although it may have made for a great moment, this is a tool you need to only use with the right players. Period. This entire issue is dependent upon the reason that the player plays D&D in the first place. Period. If a player is accepting of consequences and death and stakes, they will more than likely not like this outcome. In fact, most players won't like this outcome. Period. If the players are more easygoing and like a lower stakes game, then this may make or even amplify an awesome moment for them. Period. You need to know what your audience wants, and especially what they don't. Period. Offering level up mid fight has more of a video gamey feel to it that a lot of role players aren't going to like. Period. Say that video game feel like it. And a lot of individuals aren't going to like the fact that you railroaded their failure as a non-option. Period. Okay. Question as to why you weren't a question as to why weren't you prepared when it seems from the story that the players were. That the players were. My assumption aside, though, it may have made for a great moment. But this is a tool you can use with the right players. The entire issue here is dependent upon the reason that the player plays D&D in the first place. Players are subject to consequences, death, and stakes. Wrong kind of stakes. Consequences, death, stakes. They're more likely not like this outcome. In fact, most players won't like it. Players are more easygoing and like a lower stakes game. They may like this may make or even amplify it to be an awesome moment. You know what audience wants, and especially what they don't. Like I say, the offering level up mid fight has more of a video gamey feel to it. A lot of role players aren't going to like it. And a lot of individuals aren't going to like the fact that you railroaded their failures. If you are going to do, you're going to use this mechanic in the future, use it wisely. If at all. I think that's it. I don't know. I feel like yeah, they kind of made their peace with it and ready to TPK. It just kind of is what it is. Dude. Huh. Took a break mid-fight. Players talked. Included that it was going to be to the death. Say a question as to why weren't you prepared when it seemed where the players were. It seems to me they had made their peace with it. Take a look at that. Okay. From that one, guidance is basically Google. Almost sounds like a shower thought to me. Okay, downward guidance is basically Google. Think about it for a second. When you cast guidance, you get a small boost to an ability check. This is identical to Googling something really quick to get some extra info on the subject you want to succeed on. Instead of a small prayer, verbal, say, okay, Google, history check subject. Based on what you input, you get a small bonus to your roll. You want to know how to jump better and longer? Try guidancing next time. After Google God has some info on this wiki now. Don't hate guidance, otherwise you just hate search engines provided by the gods. Immune is D&D Google. Yeah, true. This sounds like our shower thoughts. For D&D material. That's what I think. Speak with dead flesh plants. Well, that escalated quickly. Festival of the Blazing Sun. Oh boy. Oh, is this the person? Oh, I always hate that the post being referenced is higher up. So I answer the post ahead of time, then like an hour later find the post that was referenced. Which we have 4 comments and only 8 upvotes. This is gonna be something else. Okay. I feel like I have to do this one. Ramster78. Well, that escalated quickly. Festival of the Blazing Sun Edition. Chris Strad. Story. My group of players, level 5, it's been a slow burn to the festival. The army of players has taken 34 sessions to get this far. They have a habit of wanting to follow every single breadcrumb I leave all at the same time. But here we are at the festival. Okay, big flag. I mean, as long as they're having fun, that's good. But you may need to limit their options if they are going to take every thread to the absolute maximum. He had saved the bones, but a couple of the spawn escaped. So I amped up the tension in town due to rumors of people disappearing in the night. More guards in the square. They met both the Baron and Lady W. It was in Strahd plans to overthrow the Baron on Festival Day. They hadn't yet decided which side they were on. They knew down. The Bandy mod upgrades. Okay. Once the Baron began to strap the Laughing Guard to his horse to direct the crowd, they intervened, but it wasn't going well. To try to convince him that they had the best plan. My bard then outright accuses the Baron of being the real problem. Had Lady W step forward and give a grand speech imploring the town to see the evil in the Baron and let her lead them to peace and safety. The crowd played some cult fanatics, one of whom killed a random member of the crowd, blamed a guard trying to incite revolution. Was spotted by 2 of the party members with high passive perceptions, began to rise but crowds the crowds, cultists shouting support for Lady W. Okay, I'm liking it. My ranger, being a tiefling, didn't want to be too central, had climbed to a rooftop and used thaumaturgy, raised his voice, call for peace. Doing so, there are bigger evils like vampires, people double-crossing the towns. At this point, everyone's favorite flame, handed thug, Isaac steps up and tries to blast Ranger off the roof. So everybody rolls initiative. From your point of view, managing dozens of NPCs with a head wrecker builds a fun. Guards turned on each other, everyone just fighting everyone else. At this point, the Baron, on his horse, tries to escape, but 2 roll attacks of opportunity for the cultists. He passed, nailed him, killed him. DW cast Hold Person on Isaac. Bard did some stuff. Bob moves the Baron's house. Cleric went toe to toe with some massive damage. Isaac then found himself double teamed by the Paladin. And Lady W kill steals 2 of them. Blocky's now on fire. Baron, Lady W, Isaac are all dead. Oh, Lady W was killed. 2 vampire spawn are loose. Arena. I have freaking no idea what I'm doing next. Another players want to hit the Baron's house. They're also fascinated by Victor for the bone theft. Radio Lady W. But after that, trying to work out other links. Wizard of Lines going to be followed by Inburns. The Martikovs could finish the mob. Who's going to town? Taking the ways to get dinner invitations. Then Lady W is gone. All a day's work for DM. I guess mine is gratefully received. Festival of the Blazing Sun equals Festival of the Blazing Town. Sounds really awesome. Your group. Didn't TPK themselves foolishly with poor planning. Poor planning. Interesting. I still don't know how to take 34 sessions. Unless your sessions are like an hour each. I don't know. Werewolf hangover table. Wake up. Got it. Just add it back in. It's not a useful or proportionate rebuttal to complaints about removal of alignment from stat block. Talking about alignment. Okay, removing the element, therefore, is taking reference. How to do it yourself. Generally, in favor of keeping default alignments, or various that there are arguments against it. However, start repeating, just add it back. Argument. It's gonna be frustrating and missing the actual. Hey, yeah, like we already answered this yesterday. That's fine. I'm gonna move on from this, but yeah, I think alignment needs to be kept. Adapting a famous movie, adapting Predators in one shot, working about story, advice, how to run the game without Irina. I answered that yesterday. How to use Were Ravens, Orchestra. Okay. On. Let's see what we got. Thunder as an element. Team Academy, Thunder as an element. Need advice. I'm running a campaign that has a lot to do with elements and like to have Thunder as a separate element from lightning. I'm having a lot of trouble tracking down exactly what that is element's power would give, or tracking down just what exactly that is element power give. Would it just be sound based and shockwaves? Wow. Word salad. Maybe a delayed damage or sound like a thunderclap. HS's device is welcome. It's already a different damage type. So what is exactly elemental power of thunder? I don't know, concussive force. Basically. Elemental, it's air elemental power. Just what exactly is element power would give? What give would it just be sound-based shockwaves? It could very well be just the compression and release of Can't do the liturgy. Aether. Here. My quick opinion. Who wants to be an NPC? Oh boy. Alright, see what we got. By Deputy Nom Noms. I've got a player that is really embracing being a changeling. He's asked me if it were possible for his character to pose as a recurring NPC as a means for his paranoid character to snoop a bit on the other members of the party. I love the idea as well as the implications of he's ever found out, but I'm struggling how to figure out how to execute it. We're all playing virtually, so I have the idea of an NPC being an eccentric fortune teller. It takes moments to consult the cards, bones, tea leaves, etc. before responding to the players. This would, in theory, give my sneaky player some time to message me what he'd like to say. He'll be RPing in the NPC, but he'd be feeding me some of the responses. And prior to sessions, I consult him about what types of info he's looking for to glean for the characters. That's the best I got, but most suggestions. He's a changeling. So the changeling is basically going to keep being wonky NPCs to gather information on the party. I mean, yeah, I mean, he could do it. How to execute it? I mean, I assume they want you would inform. I guess you would work together and kind of build player characters or NPCs aesthetically. It's probably the best way to do it. Yeah, what type of info is looking to glean from the characters? It sounds like a pretty good inside joke. It sounds like a pretty good inside joke. Period. You and this player need to work together on building the personas of the changeling player character. Period. That way, both of you are on the same page as far as the aesthetics and the personality of these characters. Period. Actually, I want to do personas. How to execute it. Part of my thought process immediately goes to Roger the alien from Family Dad. Wow, I did Family Guy and American Dad, Family Dad. That's the that is the other spinoff. Um, two. Try to create some scenarios where this persona is introduced into the narrative and you and the player kind of swap playing them. Kind of co-op. Kind of co-op. Play them. A build slash play them. All right. One. Thoughts on pets? Just played my first session ever last night. I'm level 2 chaotic good cleric, Alfolk. I was wanting everyone's opinion on characters having pets and their roles. Personally would like to have a bearded dragon with the ability to grow or shrink, maybe dictated by a dice roll. Like I said, I'm a noob, so excuse my ignorance of the game. I'm brand new to D&D, so please be patient with me. I mean, it ultimately comes down to, is this just for flavor or is this mechanical? Are we trying to be like a Beastmaster Ranger, or are we just trying to have a pet to do stuff with? And I think this person's about to get that. Effect on gameplay. What exactly are you trying to do with this pet? Question mark. Are you just trying to have a pet for flavor for your player character? Question mark. Or are you trying to have your pet have some mechanical implementation, especially during combat, like the Ranger Beastmaster or a fine familiar? Question mark. Ultimately, it's up to the DM and what they want to allow. I would speak to them about what you're trying to do and trying to come to a compromise of what they're willing to allow and what you want. Period. One question that needs to be discussed is, are they going to be subjective to damage like fireball and those sorts of AoE spells? Period. If you begin to dive underwater with water breathing, are they going to drown? Period. This depends on the DM and how realistic they want to be. Period. Alright, what exactly are you trying to do with this pet? Are you trying to have a pet for flavor for your player character? Or are you trying to have your pet have some mechanical implementation, especially during combat, like the Ranger Master or familiar? Ultimately, that's the DM and what they want to allow. I would speak to them about what you're trying to do, and come to a compromise on what they're willing to allow and what you want. One question needs to be discussed is the pet going to be subjective to damage like fireball and those sorts of AoE spells? You begin to dive underwater. Question mark. You begin to dive underwater with water breathing. Are they going to drown? Depends on the DM and how realistic they want to be. You go. All right. There'll be some good sounding titles for the champion chosen, the Demon Lord. Where's the titles? Let's actually look here. Name generator. A title for the champion or chosen of a demon lord. Has to be title. It's a fantastic site if you are not using it. So we got here. We got real name, place name, other name, title, title names. One. Cleric of Blood. God. These are bones. So leave some space. Have this title name. Yeah, I believe all the fiendish names are of the actual titles. Generators. Yeah, it's pretty much. Fantasy name generator. Oh. Okay, it's name generator. Fantastic website. You are not using it. It has a title generator. Other I'm just gonna post it. We got Caesar of Bones, Herald of Blood. These are two that I like. Depends on the Lord and the kind of portfolio of cool. Going to running a counter soon. I want some opinions. Okay. That one or all these coins. Where are all these coins minted? They're old. I think this person is right. Probably minted centuries ago before the area got plain shifted over. Conquered other image on things. Pretty much this. Currency is, I believe, the old minting of Rod's family and the old minting of Strahd's family crest and conquered lands pre what is it? Not Dawnfall. It is not the Shadowlands. That is Kotor. We are dealing specifically Sister Echoes, the Feywild, Prime Material, and the Shadowfell. Hammerfell, Shadowlands. Yes, pre Shadowfell. Yes, merge. Yes, pre Shadowfell. Yep, happened a long time ago. A recurring villain, repeat an encounter, but I want to risk your dragon. Primespire Canyon. Okay. Not bad. Coming release speculation. Reputation bars. That's what we got here. Track of PC's fame and reputation. Plus 100, minus 100. Oh. So, by Jimmy Naz, 97K, DM Academy, Reputation Bars. Hello everyone, I'm currently working on a homebrew 5e campaign with a friend, and we're going to be alternate DMs in this. For a large group, playing in a large world. I was thinking of a way for us DMs to keep track of the fame and reputation different places of our world. I was considering drawing some bars or graphs. Plus minus 100. Changes for every place and characters get treated, if not get attacked on watch because their reputation is low. Question is, anyone use a similar method with their players? Is there an official rule I missed somewhere? Yeah, it has renown. The only function within 5e to implement this would be renown. That is listed within the Dungeon Master's Guide as possible quest rewards. Period. For me personally, I operate off of a minus. So their disposition can be strongly dislikes, comma, dislikes, comma, indifferent, comma, likes, comma, strongly likes. So their disposition could be strongly dislikes, dislikes, indifferent, likes, strongly likes. I just jut these down from some interactions with the town slash NPCs. For instance, if the players tip an extra 10 gold, then I'll typically increase an indifferent NPC to a like disposition toward that player character or potentially the whole group. All right. Board. For instance, the players tip an extra 10 gold, then I would typically increase and indifferent NPC to a like state for the player character or potentially the whole. Helps. Only function within 5e, not only function within 5e, implement it. The only function within 5e, implement this would be only function within 5e, implementing this would be renown. Guide and listed as a possible quest reward. Me and listed as a possible. I may personally operate off that. This position can be strongly. Yep. Now some kind of town. Cool. That's what I use. The DMG here has DCs in chapter 8.2 based upon this character. Memory serves does DMG 245 does nice. I do want to check right. Go ahead and double check Renee. 129, 22. Alright, so we got here. Noun. Gaining renown. Spending downtime. Can't spend downtime. $22.9. Oh, it is. Yeah, so let's edit. Guide. Pages 22. 9. Um, 29, that one. Oh, got the page number here. And we'll just find it again. 245. 245. D45 has a table for interaction. What is it? It is interaction. I guess difficulty, interaction DC or NPC that I mirror with their disposition. Cool. Alrighty. Players choose what fields to start in. That's interesting. Never played before DM. Never A water bag. Never played before DM and never played players here. Okay. So we make characters from the first adventure. I mean, you're not going to create characters the way you're going to get the characters. We play our first adventure, the most potent brew. Making own characters. We play with pre-made. Also appreciate other tips. First game. Yeah, they don't list anything. Think of pre-made characters as a good resource should you be pressed for time. Period. However, creating characters in 5e is just like math problems. Period. The only way you learn the concepts of the problem, quote unquote, character creation, is to do it for yourself. Period. Long term, this is much better as it will save you long term. This is better as it will teach you a new and very important skill set within the game, but also make sure your characters understand why they're rolling certain dice, while they're making these checks, etc. As a new DM, there are great YouTube resources like DM tips, running game, running the game, and Booker, Helper, and more. Best advice I could give would be to have a session 0 and communicate with your players about the game you want to run and the game they want to play, and continue to communicate and check in with how everyone's having fun. Period. Create character as a good resource should you be pressed for time, pre-made, a dictionary. However, creating character 5e is just like math problems. The only way you can learn the concepts of the problem you can learn the concepts of the problem, character creation, and do it for yourself. Long term, this is much better as it will save you term. That out long is better as it will teach you a new and very important skill set within the game. Also, make sure your characters understand why they are rolling certain dice. Certain dice. Why they are making certain checks where to find this information, etc. As a new DM, there are great YouTube courses like Steps, Running the Game, Handling Helper, more. That's advice I can give you. You have a session 0 and communicate with players about the game you want to run and the game they want to play. Continue to communicate. Check in from time to time about everyone's feelings, likes, dislikes, etc. Okay. Done. How do you get ideas? Hot scarf. Scarf here. Oh, this title is very vague. It must be about specific situations like world building. I'm fleshing out my world and realizing that I'm slightly struggling to make it feel alive. Ah, the old iceberg. Inspired by lore-thick worlds such as Hollow Nest from Hollow Knight, and since Xandria for Critical Role, I want to create a world that intrigues players. Hollow Nest, I realized I want regions to be notable. Each region of the abandoned kingdom is so unique and recognizable. I'm not sure how to translate that into world building, connect that to encounter building. All the question I ask is vague. I do not feel comfortable asking without thoroughly explaining my issue. I create a world that's intriguing, unique, but still is relatively easy for players to delve into. I don't have any tips how to make various similar regions discernible to each other. How would one canyon be different enough from other for players to recognize it? How much should each thing be unique? Apologize. It's a board that you go insane. Make things feel unique. I guess I would say understand that your world and any built world is always going to be empty in certain areas. Period. The key to making a vibrant, alive world is to focus on specific areas like towns, cities, dungeons, etc., that the players are likely to go towards, and work on increasing levels of detail and ideas for those specific regions. Period. There's a quote by Christopher Perkins that says that a good writer reads more than he writes. Period. I believe that to be true, and that you need to consume and read more information to get more ideas from which to build upon your world and create your own fusion of ideas. Period. Another great quote is from Matt Colville. Just steal everything. Period. There are plenty of resources for maps and other things like that, but don't be afraid to have completely novel concepts for everything. Period. The rule of three is often a good metric for changing something. Period. Do you have some books? Second. All right. Yeah, it was Creating Places: The Art of World Building 2 by Randy Ellefson. Rules of three. Yeah, I know I listed it here somewhere. I know I've read it. Can't find it at the moment, but I know it's here. The books by Randy Ellefson, Creating Places, Creating Full Places. Simply put, it's changing three things of any established canon, elves, dwarves, etc., is enough to typically make things feel different. Period. Savage world in any created world is always going to be empty in most areas. Key to making a vibrant, alive world is to focus on specific areas like towns, cities, dungeons, etc. That the players are likely to go towards and work on in levels of detail and ideas for the area. Increase levels. Yes, word is work. Word. There's a quote by Christopher Perkins that says, "A good writer reads more than writes." It has to be for someone else, right? I feel like Perkins was probably quoting someone else there. Stephen King's. To be a writer, you must do two things well else: read a lot and write a lot. Never trust a man who writes. A writer who writes more than he reads is an amateur. Uh, yeah, loosely based. I believe that to be true. That you need information, get more from a little upon world. fusion of ideas. The great quote from Matt Colville. And that is just steal everything. Plenty of resources for maps and other things like that, but don't be afraid to have simply. So you don't. There are plenty of resources for maps and other things like that, but don't be afraid. Have to have. Be afraid. Don't think. That you have to have completely novel concept of everything. The rule of 3 is often a good metric for changing something. The books by Randy Ellefson, Places, and other book, Creating People, talk about this. We put changing anything with at least 3 distinct differences. Any established canon. Is enough to typically make things. That's pretty good. Places create. Sometimes ideas just come and go. It is the nature of the mind and some of the frustrating parts of creativity. Period. Sometimes you need time. Other times you need to take a break, do something else completely different, and come back. Other times you just need inspiration from various sources of media, personal life experiences, and other things. Period. Fine. Activity. Sometimes you need time for creative, but you just need time. Other times, capitalization. Other times you need to take a break, do something else completely different, and come back later. Other times, you just need inspiration from various sources of media, personal life experiences, and other things. No Ian Colville is there? There's not. I didn't think there was. I was looking at that weird and being like, wait a minute, something's not right here. Alrighty. Everyone down. Think about quit being a DM for a while. Advice. Oh, block tech. Dragon Boy 22 233 by DM Academy. Whoops. After playing a few sessions of an adventure, I thought to myself, ugh, this is not fun at all, but the players seem to be having a good time, so that's nice. It's just that I knew there would be some problems when I would DM and that the players might not listen to the story and go off and do some other thing. The problems are more different than that. Like, some of them are really loud and interrupt me while I'm describing something. They just sit there and I ask them what they want to do, and they just say my character goes to whatever place they need to go at the moment. I'll remind them they need to go travel there, and they don't look around for things or information. Wow, this is a whole, I need a period there. I have to kind of put the information right in front of them so they can get moving in the game. The last thing is when they are fighting something, they will be like, I aim the arrow at the monster's throat, and it hits, then I ask them roll for damage, and they damage it. Then after a while, fighting with players ask, I shot it in the throat, so it should be dead or losing health points. I explain they did a good amount of damage, but the monster is still alive, or two of my players will try and boss me around, and they can do whatever they want. True sort of in D&D that they can do anything with reason. For example, last time we played, he asked if he could see if a item was magic, and geez, too many conjunctions here, and I asked he had to try attune to it to learn its abilities, or if he had the detect magic spell. He said no, so I told him he couldn't do that, stuff like that. I feel like I'm having a stroke reading this. Yeesh. I feel like I'm messing up, but I'm not. I'm just reading it like as it is. I'm not like skipping any dialogue here and kind of substituting things. This is just how it is. All right. Oof. So yeah, I'm really tired of not having fun while we play. I know that the players should be having fun, and they are, but I just feel like it is a waste of my time if I'm not having fun too, and not if most of them are going to act like that. So do you guys have any tips for stuff like that, or what to do? Because I'm taking a break because I have no idea what to do. Oh, there's so many red flags here, it hurts. I respect the gumption of this individual, but they are in over their head from just a mechanical standpoint. Their players sound like complete uh, rude ragamuffins and wing rods. They don't understand, or they're trying to see what they can get away with the extra damage, like bleed, that sort of a thing. I have a feeling the DM is not properly setting the scene, so the players don't know how to interact, or they're just the type of player that wants to be spoon fed and not explore the place or the setting. I'm very curious about the age of this. I feel like they are much younger players. But yeah, all right. Yeah, none of them have any clue about what to do in D&D, and they would probably go crazy if they knew how much work, prep, and things you have to keep track of. Also, one of them thinks they know everything about it and is super cocky. Still a great idea. Well, not super still. If I knew someone that was a DM and I was playing in their game, I would never act like how my players are. Might be suffering from burnout. I don't think it's burnout. Um. Okay. Ooh, we might spend the next 25 minutes on this one. Probably the last one we get to. I don't know. Okay, so let's jot down here. What do we have that are problems? Players seem to be having a good time. Players seem to have fun. Next thing. Okay. cloud and disrespectful. Spoon fed directions and agency. Maybe DM lack of setting and explanation, question mark. Last thing is when they are fighting something, they will be like, and number 4, lack of game knowledge / trying to take advantage of DM. You have bleed damage as an example. That. What else do we have? Yeah, so lack of once again disrespect, loss around M. 12 players try to bust around. True. Example. Said no, so you get that. We're not having fun. Does the guys have any tips? There are 5 big red flags here. I guess 4. One guy's really cocky though. According to him. You seem to have great intentions trying to provide entertainment for your friends and bearing this mantle of responsibility. Period. However, comma, there are many large red flags here that are not only unacceptable, comma, will lead to the inevitable dissolution of this table, comma, and waste your time while preventing you from having fun. Period. My thoughts are as follows. Okay. Here we're going to go to your perception is that the players seem to have fun. Period. Are they really? Question mark. It seems to me that the players seem to be interested in winning, potentially power gamers, and only have fun when they win. Period. That is why they are trying to get every advantage they can in the fights and boss you around. Period. They may not be having as much fun as you think they are. Period. Learning how to read faces is a skill and a very important one that a lot of young DMs do not have. Period. All of you right now, without communication, and I don't think there is honest communication in this group, period, maybe acting like everyone's having fun, but all of them are somewhat miserable, you being the worst. Period. The players are loud and disrespectful. Period. Part of the mantle of the responsibility of the dungeon master is to be the leader of the table, of the group. Period. You being new, I'm guessing, do not feel confident in your game knowledge and rulings, or telling your friends that they should show you respect. Period. You deserve this respect. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Period. You need to speak up for yourself, your players, and anybody that's not willing to abide by your rules, you need to dismiss from the table. Period. This is a lesson I've had to learn the hard way. Period. Don't just ignore this. Period. Playing D&D with friend groups is hard. Period. Especially when you feel like you don't have the authority that you need in that friend group. Period. I think you need to have an honest talk with them about how they treat you and what is clearly unacceptable behavior. Period. You need to lay some ground rules with this group, and you need to do some soul searching about what rules you'll implement and what you will and won't put up with. Period. This part's really hard. Period. The players are either not interested in this story / world, or they do not know how to proceed. Period. It is important as a dungeon master to set the verbal scene for the players to then be able to experience and interact with. Period. In short, comma, if you don't set the scene, players don't see anything and they don't know how to interact with your world. Period. If you think you're doing a good job in doing that, then to me it seems like they are just wanting to be spoon-fed information. Period. And they are more than likely concerned with doing quests, getting loot, than they are with the roleplay aspect. Period. All right, number 4. Um, knowledge. The players either have collectively a lack of game knowledge, comma, or, as I assume, as power gamers, they are trying to take advantage of your lack of understanding of the rules or your unwillingness to call them out on their behavior. Period. The whole trying to get extra damage from shooting something in the throat seems to me like they are trying to pull a fast one on you or see what they can get away with to win. Period. You say in a comment below that one of the individuals is very cocky about the rules, which leads me to think this. Period. All right, too long, didn't read. Your players do not seem to have any respect for you or your authority as the dungeon master. Period. Any table for which you're willing to put this much work and effort into, you need to make sure that there is an understanding and that there is the fabric of respect at the table for you and everyone. Period. I think you need to put your foot down and make sure that they understand this moving forward about what you will and will not tolerate. It went wrong. Okay. Before you put this much work into running a table, you need to set ground rules and expectations that are especially focused on respecting one another and your authority. Period. You need to inform them of this, and if they're unwilling to do at least this, then you need to step away from them as players and maybe even them as friends. Period. Period. They may be good friends outside of the game and awful players to you during the game. Possibly. Period. Alright, that last one needs some. Okay, you seem to have great intentions trying to provide entertainment for your friends and bearing this mantle responsibility. However, there are large red flags here that are not only unacceptable, but will lead to the inevitable dissolution of this table and waste your time while preventing you from having fun. My thoughts are as follows. Flags. Your perception is that the players seem to have fun. Are they really? It seems to me that the players seem to be interested in winning, potentially being power gamers, only have fun when they win. That is why they're trying to get every advantage they can in the fights and boss you around. They may not be having as much fun as you think they are. Learning how to read faces, skill, and a very skill, and a very important one that a lot of young DMs do have. All of you right now without communication, and I don't think there is honest, not on his communication. I don't think there is honest communication in the group. Might be acting like everyone's having fun, but everyone here are somewhat miserable, being the worst. I'll tell you right now. Fun. Everyone here is what miserable, being the worst. 2, the players are loud and disrespectful. Part of the mantle strong mantle of the responsibility of the dungeon master is to lead the table group. You being new, didn't say specifically that he's new, right? That's really loud. After playing a few sessions on Adventure, I thought myself, I think he's new for the playing a few sessions. That out. I'm guessing you not feel confident in your game knowledge and rulings, or telling your friend that they should show you respect. In come on. Confident in space. You deserve this respect. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Damn. Blocks. Bold here. You need to speak up for yourself, players, and anybody that's not willing to abide by your rules is from the table. Self and your players. Anybody not willing to abide by your rules, you need to dismiss from the table. Lesson I had to learn the hard way. Don't just ignore this. Playing D&D with friend hard. Especially when you feel like you don't have the authority that you need in that friend group. I think you need to talk with them about how they treat behavior. Place some ground rules with this group. You need to do some soul searching about what rules you'll implement and what you will and won't put up with. part is really hard. Group and place some ground rules with this group, and you need to do some soul searching about what rules you'll implement. Wait. Ground rules with this group. Period. That out. You need to do soul searching about what rules you'll implement and what you will and won't put up with. Parts really hard. Players are either not interested in the story, they do not know how to proceed. It's important as a dungeon master set the verbal scene for the players to then be able to experience and interact with the world. In short, if you don't set the scene, players don't see anything and they don't know how to interact with the world. If you think you're doing a good job in doing that, then to me it seems like they're just wanting to be fed information. And they are more than likely concerned with doing quest, getting loot, and loot than they are with role play aspect. Quest and 4. The players either have collectively a lack of game knowledge, or I assume as power gamers, they are trying to take advantage of your lack of understanding of the rules, or your unwillingness to call them out on their behavior. Whole thing to get extra damage from shooting something in the throat, that they are trying to pull a fast one on you, or see what they can get away with to win. You say in a comment below that one of the individuals is very cocky about the rules, which leads me to believe this. TLDR. We gotta work on this one. Your players do not seem to have any respect for you or your authority as a dungeon master. You, master, for the work you are putting in. Respect for you, your authority as a dungeon master, or the work you are putting in. Before you put this much work into the table, you need to set ground rules and expectations. Especially focus on one another. You need to inform them of this, and if they are unwilling to do at least this, then you need to step away from running the table for them. Maybe even them as friends. Maybe even them as friends. This may be good friends outside of the game and offer players to you during the game. TLDR 2. I'll leave it in. Okay. Just wanting to see how much, how many words do we type here? Seems like a lot. 688 words. Wow, okay. That's one of the longest ones I've done so far. Dang. Alright, I think we've done enough here. Going for a while. Yeah, that's it. Alright. Go ahead and save this right here just for later. I don't know. Doop a doop a doop. Go here. That. I'm gonna save that there. Okay. Well, with that, it has been 3 hours. I'm about half an hour to do. Boy, I was not expecting that for just merely one big long paragraph. But here we are. So, with that being said, we will go ahead and end tonight's broadcast. We won't have a raid today, but we'll be back for our final day tomorrow. That, everyone have a good night. Back at the desk.